Uh-oh.
It doesn't. We used to pop fly out there.
Yes.
So you're going to be able to react in all day long.
Yeah,
All day.
and you're gonna...
What is good, everybody? Nathan Lombardo here with Lambo Media, and we're here at Hamilton High School, the baseball field. And here just to my left is Gavin Turley, Oregon State commit, class of 2022. Gavin, I want to start off with this. I mentioned Oregon State. Just to start off by telling me why Oregon State, and what the biggest reason behind making the decision to commit to Oregon State rather than any other colleges that were possibly showing interest in you throughout your recruitment process.
For sure, man. I mean, Oregon State. I mean, the culture there and the baseball history there is unmatched.
Yeah.
Oregon State's always been a dream school of mine, and being up in the mountains, up in Corvallis, is always it's a good fit for me.
Yeah. Yeah, most definitely. And both you and Rock Chalowski over here at Hamilton High School, you guys will both be playing college ball and might even face each other here and there while in college ball. Who's going to win that battle, UCLA or Oregon State?
Oregon State, no doubt, man. It's a battle in the past. I mean, we got it, especially when Rock's there.
Absolutely. And being a heavily recruited kid out of high school, obviously you just finished a scout day with a whole bunch of scouts watching you take BP. I'm sure the pressure is immense during that time. Do you just not let it get to you at all, or kind of what's your mental approach during times like those?
I mean, it's always gotta keep the things in your swing simple. Gotta simplify everything and gotta slow the game down. But I mean, those mistakes, they amplify themselves when the pressure's on. So it's really all about just simplifying everything and making sure your mental state's correct. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And you made the transfer from Utah baseball and then transitioning over here to Hamilton High School in Arizona. What was the biggest reasoning? I talked to you about the reasoning behind your commitment. I want to talk about the reasoning from transferring a ball from Utah and then transitioning to Hamilton High School in Arizona.
I mean, the competition at Hamilton and in Arizona is unmatched.
Yeah.
Down here in Arizona, it's so much better than Utah, and being able to be around the competition and be around other dudes that have the same dream as me is
right.
It's a dream for me too as well. So.
Yeah. What was that transition? I want to talk a little bit about that. You mentioned the skill set side of things. How much of a difference is that skill set side of things when transitioning from a state like Utah and then transitioning into a powerhouse school like Hamilton and a whole bunch of kids? We got Rock Chalowski, like I mentioned a little bit earlier, got a very talented team, a whole bunch of talented baseball guys here in Arizona. I want you to talk a little bit and go a little deeper into talking about that transition skill set wise.
I mean, coming from Utah and going to Arizona, I mean, I would say the main difference is the amount of kids that just want to succeed and want to work and get better every day. I mean, every day I come over here, I mean, it's rare that I come over to the field and there's not a kid here.
Right.
Whereas in Utah, I'd go over to the field every day, not a single kid there. So it's always competition, always getting better than the other guy. So it's good for both of us.
Yeah, most definitely. And we're standing here in the batter's box. I want to jump into your swing and dive a little deep into your swing and what that kind of looks like. So can you give me a couple swings, a little slow-mo swings, and then in full motion a little bit later? Just talk to me about your swing, your load, lower and upper half, and then obviously the other things as well. Your mental approach. What does that all look like?
For sure, man. I mean, when I get in the batter's box, it's really I'm just getting in there and making sure everything's kind of set up in an athletic position.
Right.
And then I really like to get in this position where I'm a little bit closed, but I'm still open to see the pitcher well.
Mm-hmm.
And then when we get into pitch, I like to do this thing called like the shoulder tuck, but not really too much.
Okay.
Where I can really own the zone. Where if he throws me anything in the zone, I have control wherever it's pitched. So,
right.
So that combined with just a simplicity in my backswing, where I can just come in here and get to about this position. I mean, I have control over this whole entire plate to I like to say own the pitcher. So
okay. And when you're taking your load, I notice you're kind of closed off on the front side with your front foot, kind of leaning it towards the catcher in a way. Was that something you've always done growing up, or is that kind of something you just transitioned into doing somewhat recently?
For sure, I would say it's something I'm more transitioned to, because I mean I've always been a big I'd say like toe tap leg kick kid.
Okay.
Whereas lately it's been a lot more simple and coming more controlled, just simplifying, because as the velo gets up, the more movement you have in your swing, the faster the velo looks. And
you mentioned your lower half load. I want to talk to you a little bit about that, because obviously everyone wants to have the pretty swing with the high leg kick. Because that's what looks good. At least that's what lower kids think. Growing up and getting recruited throughout the high school level. What was that transition like, you know, when transitioning from, you know, a big leg kick and then transitioning to kind of a more simple, you know, load, you know, staying lower to the ground? What was that like timing wise? Because I'm sure you mentioned, you know, the velocity increase. I'm sure that's a big difference that, you know, you make even when transitioning from Utah to Arizona, like we mentioned earlier. So what's the biggest difference that you notice when transitioning from, you know, having a bigger leg kick and into, you know, somewhat of a slide step?
For sure. I mean, I like to think that it's a really, you got to get your foot down as the pitcher is getting his foot down as well. So I mean, once that foot gets down, it's everything's got to work together to be fluid. You can't step your foot down and then get fooled on something.
Yeah.
Everything's got to work fluid through it. I kind of mimic my leg kick. I'd like to say off of Javi Baez.
Okay.
But not obviously not as big.
Yeah.
But kind of if you look at his swing from the front, he really controls the plate, and I mean he owns the plate. He's attacking the pitcher, I'd like to say. So that's where I kind of mimicked off of.
So would you say in the big leagues, Javi Baez was kind of that guy you kind of modeled your game after, at least on the offensive side of things?
I'd say off of the load more of.
Okay.
I like to think that my load's like Javi Baez, and I like to mimic a Mike Trout's simplicity to the ball.
So a little bit of everything.
And then a Ken Griffey's little follow through. So.
Absolutely. Can we see two swings maybe in full motion?
For sure. Maybe game swings right here. Be in here a little.
Absolutely. Let's see one more. Absolutely, it's a beautiful swing. Lambo media listeners, that's Gavin Turley, one of the heaviest recruited players coming out of high school in Arizona now when transitioning from Utah to Arizona. But Gavin, like I mentioned a little bit earlier, I wrap up every interview with an interview nomination from my interviewee. So, Gavin, who will be that guy?
Hey, man, I got the shout out my boy Oliver Shannon.
Okay.
Out of California, committed to Duke.
Okay.
He's gotta get on here, man.
All right, Oliver, you've been called out. I look forward to hopefully speaking to you soon. And, Gavin, I really appreciate you taking the time. Congrats on all of the accolades thus far, and, best of luck in the future.
Hey, thanks, man.